Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulul Kareem. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man istani bi sunnati ila yawmiddin. All praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's mercy, may Allah peace and blessing be on the last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all those who follow the path of righteousness until the last day. Now today our topic will be talking about reptiles. Last week we don't post a video due to some illness, but alhamdulillah we are back. Our today's topic, the lesson will be focused on reptiles. But before we go further, now we come to know that reptiles, they live in communities, especially agama lizard. They live in a group called colonies. But I want to highlight something that is mentioned in the Quran before we go further. As the Quran said, there is not an animal that lives on earth, nor a being that flies, not a being that flies on its wing, but form part of its communities like you. So the Quran even has testified that animals and flies, they form a community like us. Now, when you talk about reptiles, we say reptiles are the first vertebrates which have the ability to complete their life on land without returning to water for breathing. Meaning, we spend all our life cycle on land. Okay? Unlike the toads or the amphibians. You know, amphibians, for example, when they are on land, they have to go back to water in order to complete their breathing, right? For breathing. But the reptiles, they complete their whole life cycle on land without going to water for breathing. And reptiles are classified into four main groups. And one of them is lizard. And another group is crocodile. And another group is snake. And another group is, the final group is tortoise. Now, general characteristics of reptiles. One, they are cold-blooded animals, meaning they are polyphyletamid. Two, they spend most of their lives on land. And three, they breathe by means of their lungs. Four, their skins are dry and covered with overlapping scales. And five, reproduction in most reptiles is oviparous, meaning fertilization takes place inside the body of the female. The fertilized eggs are laid in a damp soil where they will develop and hatch to give rise to young ones. Some reptiles don't lay eggs but give birth to their young ones. Example, the python snake, that very big snake. For that one, it doesn't lay eggs, but it gives birth. Number 6, with the exception of snake, apart from snake, reptiles move by means of their limbs. They have legs that enable them to walk on land or to crawl. Now, on the reptile, we focus on agama lizard. Now, another word is also called the rainbow lizard. Now, agama or rainbow lizards are commonly reptiles in West Africa. They live around our homes and other buildings. You know, those who are living in the African subcontinent, you know, these lizards, they live around our fences. They climb on our fences and our trees. Every day, you know, we see them, day in and day out. Now, what are some of the characteristics of agama lizard? Okay, one, they live together in small groups called colonies. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, that the Quran has mentioned that animals and flies, they live in community like us. So you can see that even this have indicated the agama lizard, they live in a small group called colonies. And if you can check also one of the surah in the Quran called Surah Nahl, the ant, whereby Suleiman was traveling with his soldiers, and saw it and said that, "Oh, you ants, it's better now we move on before Suleiman will come and cross us with his soldiers." And Suleiman was given the gift of able to interpret what the animal says. So he asked his soldiers to start, and he just smiled and asked his soldiers to have a halt to allow the ants to pass through. So that indicates that they form a community and they communicate within themselves. Number 2, they are cold-blooded animals. Okay, polyphyletamid, we mentioned that. They breathe by means of their lungs. For agama lizard, they have powerful lungs that they use in order to breathe on land. Now, for the other male lizard is bigger and more brightly colored than the female one. So you can indicate that in order to these are another characteristics that enable you to identify them, because the male one is bigger than the female one, and also the male one is more brightly colored than the female one. Now, sorry, I just pressed something that I shouldn't. That bring this back. Okay, number 5. They lay eggs. Okay, lizard lay eggs. The mating of the male and female agama lizard is called courtship. Now, when the female and the male one combine together, maybe for example in our natural term or in our common term we call it sex. When the male and the female is having sex, that one is called courtship. Another word also sometimes is called copulation. Now you can study the diagram of the agama lizard with this here. You can study the diagram and the parts of the external structures are labeled on the part. Now, for further discussion about the external function of the part of agama lizard, the skin, number 1, it reduces water loss by evaporation. The tail, that's number 2, it helps the lizard to maintain balance while they are moving. Number 3, the natural crest. This is raised by the male when fighting. It is also used as a component for hearing. The gola fall. This is lower in courtship. This is lower in courtship and when fighting. Vent means the anus. The vent is an opening of excretion, feces, reproduction, etc. The vent is also called the cloaca. Now, number 6, we have the claws. They use the claws to hold firmly while climbing on trees or walls. Their claws help them to grip on the surface they are climbing on. Now, the limbs. Lizards use their limbs for movement. It is the limbs that enable them to move on land. Okay. Now, the mouth. The function of the mouth it is used for feeding. Although the eye is not mentioned here, but we all know what is the main function of the eye. The main function of the eye is for vision or seeing. Now, basking and roasting. Lizards, they baste. They have this ability to baste and roast. How do they baste and how do they roast? Now, lizards move in the sun in order to increase their body temperature and stimulate their metabolism. This will make them feel active. This process is called basking. The process whereby they will go into the sun and spend some time there and increase their body temperature. That method is called basking. When they feel very warm, they get to the shaded areas. This process is called roasting. While they get back to the shaded area in order to cool down their temperature, that process also is called roasting. Now, for feeding, the lizard feeds on insects. Example, grasshopper. Gaseous exchange takes place in the lungs. Gaseous exchange takes place in the lungs. And now, that's where we are going to end. So you can study this in great detail. Okay, and any questions you have, you can ask questions in the comment box below. And please subscribe and press the notification button for notification. We thank you all.